Welcome to Weed Wednesdays, produced by International Broadcast Media, better known as IBM.TV. I'm your host, Jeff Eichen, human rights advocate and social activist fighting for government deregulation of weed and the release of all nonviolent criminals incarcerated for possession of marijuana, moving violations, parking tickets, IRS debt, etc. Here on Weedsday, we keep the public informed about all things weed related, including festivals and legislation surrounding regulating the growth of hemp. Okie dokie. Let's get back to our beautiful family today. Kristin Flor may come in. She's got a yoga class till noon, and we love her. Her dad was in jail and handcuffed to the bed when he died, and she went in and got him, and she cries every time she tells the story. So Amy Pova, who is also a POW for pot, she's our other guest host. She's going to be working on her move for the next few weeks, and we'll get her back. So I love all my ladies of hemp that are my co-hosts. It brings the balance in. So we just don't have everybody out there in TV land, guys telling the stories, So we're really blessed to have, again, Amy on today and Vivian. And before we start, I'm going to play one video for you all here. I'm still sharing my screen with you. So this is an emotional thing, but this guy, just kick back and watch this video, everybody. This is really important. Okay, kids. So if that didn't touch your heart, what could? He was in jail for something he didn't do for 30 years. And what the F? That's why we're fighting and doing what we're doing. We're making Jack's dream come true. And you guys had your festival this weekend. Introduce your festival. We're going to try an experiment today. And first, I want you both to introduce yourselves and tell us why you do what you do. And I have a 26-minute remix, and it's an interview that Vivian did with the lady from Skunk magazine. And I want to come in and out of that. So this is the first time I'm ever doing this. So we can just play a little bit of the video, then I'll stop and come back to us, and let's see if we can flow and if it'll work. And I think that we'll get through it. Vivian, introduce yourself and tell us about your successful weekend you had last week with HempFest Virtual 2020.
Thanks, Jeff. I just want to start off by making a comment about your introduction. I just want to add to that introduction that Amy is as much, if not more, of a producer of the event as I was. She was more than pivotal in making this entire thing happen. It's my 29th year with Seattle HempFest. I'm the executive director of Seattle HempFest this year. And it's been a long and amazing journey to justice, working with this amazing group of people we have, this core group of HempFesters, our board of directors, and which Amy and I are both on. And then the 700 volunteers every year that fill our staff shirts. And of course, the 100,000 people that would come down to the event on a normal year. We are a small federal nonprofit, 501c4 nonprofit organization. And we were hit by the pandemic, like everybody else doing a public event across the world, and it hit us kind of like a freight train. And so we've been kind of hustling to try to survive this year and to deal with it, figure out a way to satisfy our financial obligations, which are huge in the wake of having our event shut down halfway through our production year.
Where can our viewers support you?
Well, there's a couple ways they can do that, and we'll get to that. I just wanted to say that we needed to do something, and we need to keep the message going, because the mission is the message, right?
Yeah.
And so we decided that the way to do that was to do a live stream event where we could bring a message to anybody in the world. And we had never really done anything like that. It was a real discovery process for us. We had to build a new phone-friendly website designed for live events, live stream events, and work with people all over the world. Actually, we had music from 4 countries total, and guests from other in other continents taking part in it and stuff, and it was pretty exciting. As far as people making a contribution, there is a GoFundMe that we can share with you, and they can also join our Patreon, or they can go to our website, hempfest.org, and I think they can even go to hempfestonline.org right now and make a contribution. Those are our 2 websites that we're working with.
Fantastic. Well, we'd like to thank IBM.TV for getting us to Portugal and to Uruguay today. And so everybody out there, just remember, we're doing our work here. And thanks to Vivian and Amy, the co-producer of this year's 2020 virtual HempFest. I've been to many of them, and I love it. I'm a Washingtonian. I'm blessed that you're doing what you're doing. I got to meet Tommy Chong, at your festival. And so it's just really beautiful that we're being part of the medicine and carrying on with what we do. Amy, give us a little bit about your experience and how tired you are.
Oh my gosh. I was joking with some of my friends the last 2 days. I was like, I turned narcoleptic overnight. I don't know what happened. But I mean, it's just one of those things. We got to do what we got to do. And I remember the moment where we were all just kind of like looking at the news and being like, oh no. Like one of our last board meetings of being like, we can't wait, like we can't. What's the backup plan? Let's figure it out. And like, God, like, there's a cast of characters we could not have done it without behind Vivian and I. And I just, especially like, I was talking to Viv about it yesterday because the studio we used was just beautiful. And it turns out it was a band from HempFest 3 years ago that called him up and was like, hey, I work in a studio now. You want to come check it out? And like, it just kind of speaks to how it's the community at large doing this because it's part of something bigger. And I think it was a really fun and exciting, and I got a lot of energy, and I'm just so about moving more towards the global event because we're looking at what's doing right now and all that. That's the direction I feel like going, and it's kind of take better range.
Well, if I can get some real footage from you all, I can assist in doing some small episodes, for you all. If we can, raise some energy to help me to do that, or you can do it yourself and share them with us. And I'd love to put a 5-minute, spot. You had so many hours of content there that I only got to one video, I got enthralled by the interview you did with the Skunk magazine lady. And I've met her several times. She's brilliant. And so many of them were important that today I did a little episode. But if I get the real footage, which I know you have somewhere there, or you can do it yourselves, I'll keep posting it every show. I'll put a 2 or 3 minute spot from the tens of hours you have. What was it? 2 days of 10 hours?
It was 32 hours of constant programming, 16 hours on 2 channels.
Yeah.
Woo!
A huge props to the whole Hemposium team and all of the panelists and everything, because it was such a great experience being able to have it right there where it's like, oh, I want entertainment. Click. Oh, I found out there's this panel going on I want to go check out. Click. And like, I think that was the coolest part about HempFest, because you don't have to walk like what feels like a mile through all of these sweaty people in the hot sun. Just like,
I got to get to main stage. I got to get to Hemposium, and you're walking.
It was also like the regular HempFest where there's no way to watch everything at the same time. You can't catch it all.
Yeah,
yeah. Which stage do you want to be on? You know, and I was going back and forth as a content, you know, collector, and I enjoyed it. You know, I went away for an hour, went outside to trim my plants or to do whatever, because it's harvest here in Washington. And I came back and Bitsy Bates was on doing some hemp cooking. You know, it was great.
We're working on figuring it all out and getting it out so everybody can get back to it and rewatch what they want to rewatch. And then putting a lot more on Patreon as some continuing content and some really cool opportunities for people that want to be part of the community and get a membership through us.
Well, if you don't have, or if you have, both of you, any more to talk about this, I might as well begin the edit that I did. I did a 24-minute edit, and I'll stop it periodically and come back and we'll talk about it. Let's see how my live stream works, if we're going to be able to pull this off. Do you have anything more to share? Thank yous to anybody else, or?
Yeah, we want to give a call out to the guys at MOB Studios in South Seattle, because that was the critical factor that made our live stream run, from what I've heard, as seamlessly as most, or better than many first-time live streams. There was really almost no dead air, and the guys at Mob Studios are just really top-notch. It was a wonderful facility to work in. We had live acts come in and play in the studio right there on the hour, as well as live stream acts coming in from other regions, other countries. We had a band from Japan, a band from Ukraine, a band from Chile, and then music acts from all over the country. And there was so many moving parts, and those guys they did a great job. And of course, Kotska Ench for the amazing poster art that she created, and Stu Smith, who we worked with in the construction of the website. And
is Kotska's art, is that the picture I have on above my head there?
Yes, that's a version of her artwork. Yes.
Yeah. She used to live here in Port Townsend. They used to live here.
To call out a bunch of our own people, which is, you know, and I'm gonna miss somebody, but Yvonne and Amy will help me out. Yvonne and Sue and Jerry Whiting and Robert Mitchell and
oh my gosh, Robert Mitchell. All hail Robert Mitchell. He was fantastic, and at the drop of the hat, he made sure that we would still have Hemposium stage for everybody.
And Jordan and Carl and Jill.
Winfield Isbell from Obsidian Studios came in at the 11th hour and also edited a bunch of content for us so that we could get it done.
And our safety patrol people that came and held down the fort at Mob Studios. Help me out, Amy.
Special K came through. Special K was a sponsor. We had more sponsors like Weed Maps, Futurola, House Cannabis, Washington Bud Co., and it's good because they're people that want to be part of building something better, and they're not just in it for the money, which is the best part of sponsorship.
And you had your VJs also. You had Grandma Cat and you know, all the VJs.
Tony B.
Tony B, yes.
Lovely Tony B. I want to mention our media sponsors: Weed World and Skunk Magazine and Hanf Magazine from Austria and Germany, and Marijuana Venture Magazine and Northwest Leaf Magazine and CelebStoner.com and SonicBids.com. all helped us get the word out and promote the thing. And it's hard, Jeff, competing with the news cycle today, and competing with Zoom burnout that's going around and stuff. But we are, really glad to be on the other side of what we consider a pretty successful maiden voyage, and we are planning to do more educational, entertainment, and advocacy events.
What I got out of it for myself was that whenever I pulled into Hemposium, it was very educational, and I even learned some stuff. I mean, I'm not the meister of everything, but whether it's anything, we learned about hempcrete, we learned about hemp oil, and all of these things. And I would go away and come back, and I'd go from stage to stage, and I think it flowed very nicely. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, let me see what I did, and if we can get a good stream here. We'll take a break here, you all, and thank you so much for pulling this off. I do it every week. I know it's a monster to pull it off, but even with your little motor scooters going in and up the stairs, and your little commercials, fantastic. So good job, and I'm gonna roll us back over to my QuickTime here and just play a little bit, then I'll come back. Thank you there, and here we go.
Truth is love. Do you hear me? The truth is loud. Homeless everywhere. Take time to share. Immigration law. They pass. Government's always trying to cover things. Our children in the streets come up missing every week. The truth is loud. Do you hear me? Talks about how in this industry we're just trying to get over y'all. We're blessed to be able to sing for people like you who actually come and support live music. And it's a wonderful thing. But this business is not always friendly. It's not always your friend. You meet some people along the way. But we all just trying to get over it.
So I used to have this notebook, write down all my thoughts, poetry, short stories, and all of that. Years ago, I lost it, but the documentation I did during it, I would never reread the things that I wrote. I just go to the next page, because creating is about creating for yourself and not for others. Thank you for listening. My name's Grady. It's midnight.
Why so weak? Because even if it put a young king in a new cage or a handsome corpse in a new grave, concrete slab, fresh inscriptions engraved, and arrest rates increased, brand new marijuana task force. Beware of the beast. Damn, giving black people licenses in this industry. Cannabis Control Commission already threatened to send law enforcement after me and my family and deny us any opportunity in their industry. I just want to know, where are the supposed allies who want to be on the right side of history? Stand up and fight. Fight for the 40+ year legacy. Fight so that we don't have to pass down this same cold cup of tea. I want children grow up wondering why we aren't represented in this legal cannabis industry.
I'm damn good at getting tossed around. I'm damn good at letting folks out. I'm damn good at some dead words unsaid. Pretty damn good at forgetting less than hours. Pretty damn good at forgetting all the words. I'm damn good at putting up my chest, getting undressed. How that you think you can save me? You can save all your career because I'm pretty damn good.
Let me be a witness, an outside witness to you. It is so important that you eat proper, sleep proper, and drink proper. And number one out of those three is number 4, smoke.
Happy 420 at Seattle HempFest! That again was full Moon Alice, and we are so excited to have had them be able to perform with us today. I wanted to take one more minute to again thank our wonderful list of sponsors, and let's see if I can name them all without looking. We've got Weed Maps, our presenting sponsor. We've got Special K. We've got House of Cannabis, Futurola, Hemp Magazine, Skunk Magazine, UK Weed World, Sonic Bids, Celeb Stoner, and if I missed any of them, you can see them down below in our sponsor tab. After this, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna pass off the crow's nest at Mob to Vivian McPeak, who made it here, and he's gonna interview Julie Chiarello from Skunk right after this. Thanks, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Enjoy 420.
If you know me, you will.
Hi everyone, we're here again, coming at you from Seattle HempFest 2020. Now we're all staying home this year for obvious reasons, so stay safe, stay healthy, and be kind to each other online. You don't have to understand the concept of time to enjoy 420. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Am I right or am I right? Happy 420 to you.
So, you guys, is that bringing back some memories? Am I right or am I right? Am I right or am I right?
Interesting thing is that that was the first time that Emmy and I saw some of that content because we were doing the main stage channel the whole time. And so the first part of what you were showing was stuff from the chunk of time that Tony B took on the Hemposium stage. And during the event, I would occasionally I would like glance at the Hemposium stage to see what was going on. But I hadn't seen any of that. Later on, you showed the band Full Moon Alice, and we were surprised that Lester Chambers, the reason it wasn't just Moon Alice, they call it Full Moon Alice when they have other members from other bands participating. That was Lester Chambers from the Chambers Brothers with them. And then the last thing he showed was Jason Degan from the TV series Wilfred, who's Australian, and the TV series Australian, but he was actually in Spain when he was talking to us. So it was pretty cool for us. It was a global live stream event in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he zoomed in on Sunday to do an interview with Vivian from Spain, which was he's such a cool guy. Like, I never thought, someone mentioned that they could get us Wilfred and see if he'd be wanting to get involved. And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch the show again. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I was kind of like, I don't know, but he's such a down to earth guy. Jason Gannon, he's fantastic and just such an advocate and an ally.
And he was a dog.
What's the dog?
Yeah. What's up, dog?
What's up, dog?
That's funny. If you know, when you're interviewing people, every once in a while this happens, and I said, I introduced him, welcome, Jason, to our live stream event. And he started off, and it was about, I want to say 12 minutes before I got a chance to say one question, because he was so talkative, man. He just went on and shared a bunch of great stuff. And the coolest thing about HempFest for me, and I think Amy probably said the same, I'm assuming, and that is just getting to meet and work with so many cool people from such a diverse background and diverse regions and stuff every year, to be able to interact with all these quality people in the movement and in the entertainment industry and everything, and even the media sponsors, everything. It's just all great people from our community.
Yeah. Throughout the weekend, me and one of the guys from Mob actually, like, every once in a while we could, and then we finally, like, something would be playing that we didn't have to worry about. We'd like step out and just be like thinking like, wait, what if we did this next? Like, what if we did that next? And it was just all weekend. It was, and I was surprised, but it was still just like every weekend. It's it's more than a festival. It's a giant thought think tank.
Well, it's a reunion also.
Yeah. And so it was cool to still experience that, because I missed it for a while when we were doing some of the production.
And the other thing I want to say about that is, after 6 months of being right where you see me, 6 months of spending almost all my time right here in this chair in the basement of my home, isolated from everybody, in the pandemic, doing this social distancing, to all of a sudden be somewhere and be producing an event, and to be working with bands and speakers and engineers and techs and my brothers and sisters from HempFest, and seeing them physically, even though we were socially distancing, and we made sure that we were driving the mask thing, because we were inside of a facility. We made sure everybody put the mask on when they weren't performing or whatever. But just being a part of something that was happening, of an event, was like, wow, yes, I'm alive. I'm not in my basement.
Right.
That
Well,
was
we've been 7 months in COVID, and it's hard to date in COVID. When you can't, it's just an amazing time. And I think that exactly what you're saying brought my heart open, because we miss going to HempFest and packing our car and putting our booth up and walking the thing and hugging people that we haven't seen for a while, and sitting down and watching a Hemposium interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to give a call out to, I want to give a quick call out to Weed Maps and Special K Glass and Chiarello, and who else? Amy, help me out. Who sponsored the event?
Weed Maps, Special K, Futurola, House of Cannabis, based out of Tacoma, Washington.
Washington Bud Company.
Washington Bud Company. The Academy of Cannabis Science gave us 2 scholarships to give away, and there's
Skunk.
Cannabis Alliance did a lot of free advertising for us and helped us out. Obviously, Skunk Magazine, they're the ones that hooked us up. Julie did the interview with Tommy and Cheech that they aired on Saturday night on main stage, and then 7:30 on Hemposium, if I remember correctly. But yeah, without them, there's no way it would have happened. And Mob Stupid.
Jeremy Jewell, I know to call it Jeremy Jewell, for all the great last minute ads, social media graphics and stuff that he made. And we're like, Jeremy, help, I need this right now, like yesterday. So it's, it takes a community to raise a village. It takes a community to raise a HempFest as well. And we're just blessed to have this wonderful tribe.
Well, Vivian, one of my memories of HempFest are the golf carts. And every time I see a golf cart go by, I want to give a shout out to our lovely Sharon Whitson. So why don't you do that?
We stand on the shoulders of giants. Absolutely. Yeah, Sharon got married this year, and started a new life. And we can't think of a better reason to move on from HempFest. And in a new family and a great new life. She put so many years in at the front lines, you know, at the tip of the spear. And Sharon has left a great legacy and is still, of course, a beloved member of our tribe.
She was always with a smile. I never saw her lose it. I loved having her drive by me in the freaking cart, or I'd jump on the cart with them. You know, I claimed I was old. I said I'm 60.
I have to be honest, bro. I've seen all of us at HempFest lose it at some point.
Well, and like, so I in our alternate timeline, as I'll choose to say it, I'm actually the safety team and safety director. So it makes me smile, and people are like, "Well, I've never seen so and so lose it. I've never seen so and so lose it." Because when people are losing it, I'm usually the one they call, like, "Hey, can you come talk down so and so?"
Well, let's.
Yep. No, Sharon was a 5-star general in our peace army, man. Let me tell you, and now Amy's a 5-star general. So it's funny how life moves, man.
Well, it's like football. It's the lateral move, you know. And maybe we'll call you Wilson, man. You're our quarterback, man. And you know, and Amy, you're picking up the ball and carrying it in the touchdown. You know?
It was really, you know, you're right. It's really interesting the way it worked out, just because of the timeline of how it went. And like, thinking back, I kind of have to laugh, but at the same time, in the moment, I was like, oh my God, my heart's gonna explode. Because it was like pretty much board elections, Sharon left, I got hired, COVID struck, we moved online. And it was just this whole thing of like, oh, what's next?
Well, now
Jeff, we have had the hardest year, man. I mean, it has been putting out one fire and for another, put out a house fire, and then you got a forest fire, over and over all year long. We don't even know what the future holds. We're hanging in here by a tendril, like
how about
guys.
giving a shout out to those that we lost this year?
Oh my. Patrick was the most recent, I believe, unless I missed.
Yes, Patrick McKay and Margaret Denny.
Yeah, Margaret.
Both passed away this year.
And just
and we think that Margaret was an early COVID loss, actually.
Yeah.
And we lost 5 people last year. You know, we have a huge organization that's been around for almost 30 years, and we're aging, and you know, we all have to find a way off this planet. And one thing that HempFest has always done aggressively is honored our fallen soldiers. You know, all of our stages at the physical HempFest are named for somebody, and we're running out of stuff to name that to people, frankly. But it's a family, you know. It's a freedom family, we like to say.
Well, for all those on the other side, help us end prohibition and to keep the party rolling, because my sister, my family is in television and they're award winners, and so I grew up on the stage periodically with Woody Harrelson, actually, another hempster, and what they used to say and what I go by. When somebody cries on my show because they're 13 years old when their dad went in, and they're 26 now, and their dad just got out, and they're both on my show, and they're both crying because they're happy, you know, that somebody got out of jail. My dad, right? I didn't have him for 13 years when I was growing up. My sister used to tell me that's good television. And so I think you guys pulled off some good television. I loved the people behind the scenes when they did the little spots in there, the Futurola shaking the weed and making the things. Let's watch a little bit more, few more minutes of what I did for you, and get inspired so we can start to cut some more of these things and make them available. So anything more to thank? Anybody else to thank before we go back to our show?
I want to thank our attorney, Douglas Hyatt, for really going to the mat for us. He has been working tirelessly for HempFest. He's been with us for over 25 years. And he is a righteous brother in this struggle to legalize cannabis as well. I mean, I don't know anybody more committed, so I did want to call him out. He's a criminal defense attorney here in Seattle, Washington, who's been really at the helm for us, and also Fred Diamondstone, our constitutional attorney. We just won a lawsuit against the city, defending ourselves against their attacks on the membership program. And then now we have a lawsuit against the state of Washington to defend the constitutionality of the anti-advertising rules here for cannabis businesses. So we'd be remiss in not mention our legal team. And so that's the one thing I can think to add.
If we didn't thank Eric already, I want to thank Eric. And if we did,
Eric,
I'm going to thank him again and again.
I forgot Eric.
He did a lot of the sponsorship work. Just because a lot of us were kind of scrambling with the, like, where are we going to put it? What's it going to look like? Trying to learn video editing software in the middle of the night. Like,
It's amazing.
Eric is a god. He came in and just like plugged in and kicked ass like he had always been there, and just like talk about a dude that has just got ideas flowing out of his head. He reminds me of how I used to be before I was old.
that, like, even on a bad day, I was able to call him and be like, Eric, I'm losing steam and it doesn't look, and like I'm just in the deep dark hole of like, maybe it's not gonna work, because we didn't know it was gonna work for sure until like 12:15 on Saturday, to be clear. Like so we're like, oh my gosh, yeah, he was a godsend.
Well, this one,
people were up at 3 a.m. coding on the website the morning of the event. You know, I mean, this was a hustle, man. This was a hustle to get this all done, and it's so hard because everybody's distanced. You know, we never were able to get together and work on it together, and that's just, as everybody knows these days, frankly, that's challenging.
and we don't have walkie-talkies, right?
Not the same, you know, and having all of your meetings on Zoom and stuff, it's just, it's different.
Well, that's the word. That's the word,
Psychological
different.
impacts. And I think we have to acknowledge the psychological impacts of our political environment, of this pandemic, the economic impacts that we're all dealing with. I mean, we are all stressed, and this is traumatic if you're paying attention, frankly, what's been going on our planet and stuff. And there's a lot of good things going on with, you know, Black Lives Matter and the social awareness and stuff. It's also a very disturbing time.
And you heard about Governor Whitmer? You heard about
I mean, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it's over the top. It's over the top, and we need some positive change. And so it's therapeutic to be able to actually be back in the saddle and doing the work and getting the message out. Because that's always what HempFest is about. Right. And ride that momentum. I just want to say that Amy, you are amazing, and I'm blown away, and I'm thankful to work with you. You are just a superstar. And she stepped in, man. All of a sudden, I was sick. I was late. And she stepped in like she's been the MC for the history of the event. And nailed it.
You want to tell them that story about how I got a text on my phone on my way down to the venue that said, hey, I'm not going to be there to kick it off. Someone might be. If they're not, you want to do it?
There is some secret to my madness, you know. You know, Amy, it was like, you know, a superstar, and it's such a blessing. I don't know how it works. The spirit always seems to plug the right person in at the right time when you're completely freaking out. But this time, the universe did such a good job, because it's such an honor to work with Amy.
Thank you, sir. And that's the thing is, like, it's not me. I just like to bring people that are passionate about what they want to do. You know, like if it was just me or just Vivian or just Yvonne or just Eric, it wouldn't be anything near what it is. Wouldn't be anywhere close. But we've got this beautiful family that's full of all of these amazing thought processes that come from all of these different backgrounds with all this different knowledge and all these different abilities. And that's the only way we can do it. And I mean, even moving forward, that's the thing is, like, we can take volunteers from everywhere. Are you good at social media? Like, you know what I mean? So the next step in this evolution, and part of it, I think, is that the millennials are kind of getting on board and going, wait a second, let's do it. Like, all right.
Well, we open the door for them, and we make the template, and then, you know, like when I was looking at my heroes as a photographer, I got to meet Brett Weston. That was Edward Weston's son, and Edward Weston was one of the classic photographers of the world. But Brett, when I met Brett, he was whatever, 50, 60, whatever, and I was young, 17, 20, and I saw Brett take where his father left off, because his father was brilliant, and then the children just keep expanding.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, looking at it, that's what we can do, is like, how can we turn this festival into an all the time festival for everybody? And then just have like our big family reunion once we're allowed to again. You know what I'm saying?
But we turn it over to the children. We start getting our school. We start bringing in some great 20-year-olds, you know, and 18-year-olds and 30-year-olds. Yeah. And bring them. Yeah. Get them going. Yeah. Good going, Amy. I'm really proud of you. Well, let's watch a little bit more, and then we'll get back to it here. Let me pull up a little bit more, and you guys figure out who else you want to give props to. And here we go. Here's a little bit more. Here we go. You know, I didn't know you could order weed online. Hello.
That was the whole game. I don't know what happened.
I didn't even know.
Applicable state.
Yeah.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for the virtual HempFest event on our historic weekend that we normally take the park. I am Grandma Cat, and I'm broadcasting to you from Fairbanks, Washington, which is in the South Puget Sound region, or Salish Sea region of Washington State. The organizers of our virtual taste of HempFest, if you will, asked me to take a moment to talk to you about a very important subject, one of immense importance, in fact, and that is your right, your need, and in fact, your responsibility to vote in this election year. I'll be 65 this fall, and one of the privileges of age is that long view, as you might say. I've seen 15 presidential elections. I clearly remember when JFK was elected. It also provides a breadth of comparison from then through now. Believe me when I tell you, the good old days weren't always all that good, especially when we view them through a lens of civil rights. In fact, we spun a fiction to ourselves that we were a nation of equality for all. My lifespan has shown me what a thin veil that fiction was then and even now. Let's make 2020 that year. Now, the mechanics. To complete the census, go to 2020census.gov. It'll give you information how you can submit your answers by phone, by mail, or there online. To register to vote or to obtain an absentee ballot, go to usvotefoundation.org. There you can not only get all of the requirements for voting in each individual state and protectorate, as well as register to vote and request an absentee ballot for your state. This is a not-for-profit, nonpartisan organization. And last, remember to vote. If you're going to vote by mail, it's clear you're going to need to vote early this year. As soon as you get that ballot, mark it and get it in the mail back to the register. Do not forget to support HempFest in this very traumatic year. We'll be back next year. I look forward to seeing all of my CAM family assembled in 2021 for HempFest. Be safe, be well.
Hello, my Hempo Sapiens. I am Vivian, and we are live from the beautiful Mob Studios in South Seattle, Washington. It looks like the virtual limo is running a little bit late with Julie Chiarello from Skunk magazine, so we are going to be back with her in a minute to talk about the Green Renaissance. We're going to switch over to Hawaii right now with an awesome band, the Tiki Band Intoxica, for your earhole quivering pleasure. Are we here? Are we live on Memorex?
Beautiful.
All right, my beautiful power sister, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm so thankful to be here with you all. You guys are amazing. I was so honored. I was thinking back to last year, the 28th annual, and what a journey it's been. I had no idea that we'd all be doing this online, and I've been enjoying so much the music from all over. So thank you guys so much for your efforts this year. I know it was a beast, and I'm very honored to be here with you.
Well, Julie, you know you are the executive editor of Skunk magazine, a proud sponsor of this event and media partners with us. And also you are the mother of the concept of the Green Renaissance. And originally when we found out that we're going to have to do a live stream event, we're like, wow, what do? We can't reproduce 100,000 people down on the waterfront with all the vendors and the stages and everything. So how do we do this? And how do we make it relevant to what's happening now? And even better than that, how do we make it forward-looking? And as you know, we have an entire separate channel of panel discussions almost all of 2 days. And so we thought of your concept that you had birthed the Green Renaissance, and we thought of all the various myriad ways that the cannabis hemp plant can help us reset, kind of reboot society, which we need as a global society so bad, to a more just, sustainable, and equitable global society, because the COVID-19 pandemic has really exposed some glaring deficiencies in the way that we do things in this entire global society in so many different ways, from our supply chains to our healthcare, to our agriculture, to our energy policy. And cannabis hemp really has the answer to all of those things. And it's kind of counterintuitive to a lot of people that hemp can really do so many things for humanity. And of course, we've been hearing that from Jack Herer for so long. But I was just wondering if you could explain to us the origins and the inception of the Green Renaissance concept. What inspired it, and what does it mean to you?
Thank you. Well, I've been talking about the Green Renaissance. I coined it 7 years ago. I've been using the term Renaissance for a long time. Being a counterculture person myself, I was really informed by, the French salons, the beats, the jazz and blues movement, the whole African diaspora, then into the hippies, and, through the Reagan years and the yippies, and then there's us. And so for, back 7 years ago, the cannabis industry was very popular with using the term the Green Rush. And I just felt that term was very insulting, considering that millions of people have died in the drug war, and that we've really suffered with over 100 years of prohibition. And so, you know, I just thought, gosh, we can't use that term. That term isn't right. And I've been thinking about, well, I think we're about 100 years into a renaissance. And, you know, the last renaissance, I'm very inspired by the last renaissance. The last renaissance, 20 million people died in Europe before the new way of thinking and being was ushered in. And I thought, you know what, I think we're 100 years into this renaissance. And I think that, you know, I'm going to ditch the green rush term and I'm going to start using the term green renaissance. Hey, I think that we're coming through a dark age where science is being suppressed in the name of greed and technology is being held back in the name of greed, just like in the last dark age. And now there's those of us renaissance people, new thinkers that know that we can do it in a better way. And we're all united, millions of us, that are showing this change. So I was just calling it like it was.
You're good at that. We know cannabis hemp has so many things it can offer us. A lot of people don't realize that hemp fiber is actually a superior, it's superior to grafting for supercapacitor battery storage. And of course, it can be used for biofuels, and it doesn't need to be grown on farmable lands, so it can preserve those lands for food, agriculture, and stuff. Hemp composite wood and fiberboard helps with carbon sequestration by limiting the need for tree cutting down and stuff, tree harvest. There's just so many ways, biofuels, and of course, hemp foods and stuff. And we talked before about this, that we cannot afford to keep doing business as usual because it's killing the planet. And we really need to do business as unusual, right?
Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. I actually was just reading an article this morning that if corporations were made to pay for all of the pollution and the damage that they're doing to the environment, they would actually not be able to exist. Really not connected with that Gaia principle. If you guys look up the Gaia principle, it just talks about that we are the earth ourselves. The soil is us, the waterways are us, we are all interconnected. And so business as usual really doesn't acknowledge that. It doesn't acknowledge our sacred connection and our interconnection with the entire natural world.
Hold that. Julie, you know that HempFest has always opened our main stage and closed our main stage with Indigenous Native American prayer and ritual. And today we started with a video of the Sacred Canoe family doing their songs and drumming and prayers from the main stage. And you have also mentioned that in your mind, the Green Renaissance is intimately tied to and inspired by Native American prophecy. Can you touch on that?
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was in the yoga industry, as I said, and as an esoteric and somebody that studied sacred texts, it's not even just the natives, it's lots of indigenous cultures all around the world. And I started to study the Hopi Prophecy, and what they spoke of, the Hopis, for hundreds and hundreds of years. They said that at this dark time, there would come a generation of rainbow warriors of every race, nation, and creed. And these rainbow warriors would be seated with the knowledge that of this integral nature of our Earth's connection, and that the Earth was sacred, that we were sacred, and to bring that reverence back. And so this tradition of the rainbow warriors, I believe that this is actually what we're living through right now at this moment. And for us to say, hey, we're more intelligent. We can actually do sophisticated husbandry. We're designed to be stewards. And I think that's what natives have really shown us in their practices, is stewardship, that we can actually live in harmony with our resources and with the earth if we pay attention and we have more care.
We are experiencing a global awareness movement right now of the importance for social justice and racial equity and reforming our criminal justice system with the Black Lives Matter movement, which is so long in the making and so overdue. How do these values in your mind play into the Green Renaissance concept?
Thank you so much. Such an important question. Here's the deal. It's one human race. Make Black people to make Mexican American people, to make Native people really kind of get lost in that drug war system, you know, and it's this new Jim Crow kind of feeling that, you know, we moved away from segregation, but we moved right into the penitentiaries and a brutal police system that overwhelmingly, you know, made people of color and minorities suffer more than their white counterparts. And so, you know, in the Green Renaissance, what it means to me is that, hey, there's one human race, there's one planet, and we need to start walking the talk. And we've got a lot of work to do. One of the things I ponder is, you know, it's a big, big thing, and it can feel extremely overwhelming. And so what I'm just doing and what I want to invite everyone to do is, you know, is there a person of color in your immediate circle, in your city, in your network, that you could actually help to put in a position of leadership, ownership, and power so that we can start to change the narrative? We have to do it in little incremental steps, but I think this is huge work, and it's going to take all of us to help correct the pain and the hurt that's still going on right now as we speak.
You're the editor-in-chief of Skunk magazine, the only magazine devoted solely to organic methods and organic regenerative agriculture and sustainability. How have you implemented these social justice values in your operations at Skunk magazine?
Well, you know, thank you for saying, also mentioning that our devotion to organics, the legacy I'm most proud of with Skunk is that we've taught millions of people to grow organically at home, and I want to continue that work. And what we've done, you know, as I said, I constantly am asking myself, how can I actually be the change, not just talk about the change? How can I ground these ideals into reality? And I think that it's just really on a practical level, we can't keep talking about it. We actually have to take action. We actually have to do something that changes somebody's life right next to us.
You know, we live in, I think the Chinese curse said interesting times, right? And one could posit that we seem in so many ways to be kind of teetering on the verge of some kind of a dystopian hellscape, reminiscent of an end of the world Netflix movie or something. And then you turn the news off for a minute, right? But you, I know, and you're very opinionated like I am, and you're very passionate about everything going on in our world, in our society right now. Politics, everything else, because we're political animals, being who we are. But you're always somehow so positive and grounded and earthbound through it all. How hopeful are you? You know, where do you draw strength and hope from? How hopeful are you for the future? Are you excited that we'll be able to pull out of this? Do you think that there is a great progressive generational backlash coming? What's your vision? What's your heart song?
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that, you know, what gives me a lot of solace is my years in yoga, my meditation practice, and my ability to, you know, I believe in what Tesla said, that all of us are able to tap into universal mind, that we're sacred receivers, and that we can receive information and guidance. And recently, definitely in the last, you know, this little 6-month period that we've all been working with, and really feeling kind of a sense of, God, you know, how can we handle all of this? How can we deal with this overwhelming, you know, rich layered thing of like, man, we've got a lot to do. And what really started to come through for me is this presence practice, which I love. You know, if you look at Thich Nhat Hanh's work, his mindfulness, the miracle of mindfulness practice, presence practice, which many different, you know, ideologies speak of, really is about focusing on this now moment and that sacred inch right in front of us. What is right in front of our face? You know, is it somebody that's unpleasant and we have to attend and we have to find a way through? Like Marcus Garvey said, we must emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. The revolution is within. So each of us actually can. We do have a lot of power because we have the power with ourselves, and we can take hold of our consciousness, and we can attend to that sacred inch, that thing that's right in front of us right now, and how we can best be of service to that. And that knowing that there's millions of us, billions of us that can collectively do that, and that's what actually pushes it over and creates that lasting change, that renaissance that we want to see.
Yeah, we've been told that cannabis is the gateway to hard drugs, which has been disproven. But what we know is cannabis is the gateway to economic recovery and self-realization and sustainability and regenerative lifestyles. Julie Chiarello from Skunk Magazine, thank you so much for all the support and partnering that you've done with Seattle HempFest throughout the years. We love all of you folks at Skunk so much. We love you folks out there watching as well, watching this live stream.
Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Am I right or am I right? Happy 420.
Here we are, everybody. We're the inch, baby. Am I right or am I right? Am I right or am I right?
I would say, Jeff, that is even interesting for me because when I was interviewing Julie, I was listening to her, but at the same time, I'm thinking, what am I going to ask next? I'm getting messages about how much time there is left, and so this is actually the first time I heard some of what she said too.
Yeah, me too. I was downstairs figuring out just how much time we've had left.
Right, exactly. You know,
well,
this is exciting for us to see some of our live stream.
I know. I feel like me and Viv need to have a watch party where the two of us just sit.
A couple days ago, Vivian, you said I would love to revisit my show, and I knew this moment would happen because Kristin Flor interviewed me the other day. She was in her car and she stopped and pulled over. And she says, Jeff, what got you interested in doing all this stuff? And I'd never been interviewed before. And then I rewatched it and I'm having the same aha moment as you guys.
Yeah, right. Discovery.
Whoa.
I did that after the Norm Stamper interview I did too.
Yeah.
It's just watching it after the fact and be like, hey, in my head I thought that was a lot worse than it was.
Oh yeah, it's funny because as you know, there's so much going through your head at the time. Your brain is able to think about 5 things simultaneously somehow. You don't know how it works, so it's always so interesting to go back and watch from the viewer's perspective and go, "Oh wow, I thought I stumbled on that, but it's like it was a millisecond or something, right?" And
remember what my sister said? That was good TV.
Yeah, and it's getting a hold of us and just being like, this is fantastic, and we're like, oh, okay, I'm so glad you think so.
But I mean, that's where we really learn over the next couple months. Rewatch some more of it. Like I said, get somebody to do what I just did. I mean, you saw I did overlays and this and that, and I spent about 2 hours on that baby. But I enjoyed it because
we're doing that, Jeff, and we are going to be uploading all of that 32 hours of content onto Patreon.
Okay.
In edited chunks, right? So that we can share all that with our Patreon members. Because as you know, you got to pay the rent and you got to put food on the table, and HempFest is over $100,000 in debt from the pandemic, and we are struggling to survive.
Is Patreon where people can join you by the month, like $10 a month? Or that's fantastic. Yeah, everybody. This is Jeff Eichen at Weedsday and IBM.TV, and I want you to get on the Patreon for HempFest and join up so we can have more and we can support next year's. And then the people that supported, the festival, the people behind the scenes that do the sound and the editing, maybe they can get paid too, because this pandemic has taken a lot of pay away from everybody. So I'm proud of you all. And Amy, it's great to meet you. Vivian, it's great to always have space with you. And we'll find a place for me next year on a special moment. And or we'll do something for Christmas. I mean, it'd be great to have a New Year's party, a HempFest New Year's party, you know. And now that you know how to do it, just do some smaller ones, an hour or two, and it'd be really fun to. And then you can push your Patreon, and then you know, when you come on in a consistent way 3 or 4 times a year, you know, we'll look forward to that next HempFest show. And as you saw, it flowed very magically and it was beautiful.
I'm actually on my way down to Mob to pick up some stuff that people left there. And there's been a lot of brainstorming in the background about what's next. And I think it is going to be sooner rather than later is all I will leave you with.
I would love a Thanksgiving with Bitsy Bates. Have her do a 420 turkey stuffing, and you know, and just keep going. You know,
Sky's the limit. If we can ask it, people can tell us yes or no. So we want to hear what people think too, what they love from the weekend.
Well, it could be HempFest TV also, because then you get to come on whenever you want, and we know that you have a show once a month. You know. Yeah. And it's not overwhelming because like I do once a week and I only do an hour, but it's improvisational, you know, when our hearts open up and you have somebody like the Skunk magazine lady and Vivian, who is grounded and articulate. It's beautiful and it's information.
Yeah. And I think just being able to have younger people see that there's more people like them in the world. A lot of, especially raised in families that are in different areas that aren't necessarily Seattle, that may be experiencing less than positive role models, but still have access to the phone and the internet.
Marijuana is the gateway drugs to the munchies, for sure. You know?
And it's important in this time of COVID to preach responsible use and tell people don't be sharing. Be social distancing. Don't be sharing weed from mouth to mouth if you're not living in the same household.
Well, all the glass blowers can be making one hitters, and then you buy a 6-pack, and when your friends come over, each one gets a 1-hitter, and that's theirs. It's theirs.
There's other things you can do. You could take a piece of tissue paper or something, you know, and put it over, and or do the chilling thing.
1-hitters, no 1-hitters. Forget it. Do the 1-hitters, and that'll open up a new industry of beautiful 1-hitters. And you get a 6-pack of 1-hitters, and you lay it out for your friends.
I was gonna say I'm a fan of the everybody gets their own joint model, where you just show up and you just start handing them out. Here you go, everybody gets a joint.
That's Futurola. Everyone needs a Futurola shaker in their house.
Jeff, thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it, man. And, you know, I always support what you're doing and stuff. And I love all the amazing, colorful, cultural photos in your Facebook. I was looking to that the other day, and then it's really, really a feast of the eyeballs, my friend.
Well, one day when we get back to Vietnam, we'll hand carry some Larry Serbin fabric over for you and build you a suit. Look at the suit behind me. There it is. That's all hemp. That's my hemp suit.
Gorgeous.
That's my hemp suit. But wait a minute. Number 2 came out. That's also a hemp suit there. Let's do it this way. So everybody, paper, fiber, fuel, medicine, and food, like Jack said, Jack Harrer, and let's make clothing again.
Leave it to you, Jeff, to raise the temperature in here, and it's not temporary. You've really got things happening, and I'm empathetic to everything that you're doing, bro. So you're making hempstry.
Education. It's education.
Yeah.
Any final words? Any final words, Vivian?
I just want to thank our crew for all the great work that they put into this, and our media sponsors, all the entertainers that played for free from all over the country and the world, our speakers, our panelists, our guest MCs, Tony B and Lovely, all the people that came together, the community that came together to make this live stream happen. We're told that not a lot of people, but somebody in over 30 countries was watching the event at some point. And so that really, validates our concept for a global HempFest live stream.
And don't forget, Vivian, we'll get you one of these.
All right, man.
Yeah. So, and Amy, any final words? This is the Last Supper here.
Well, I'm looking at what you're holding. My brain went.
It's a photograph that I made.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's the last sesh.
The last sesh. I'm excited to be able. I'm excited that we figured out ways to get more education into more people's hands more often. I think is what I'm leaving the.
My logo now says "Film is food," and so we need to be eating the right diet, just like the guy from Moon Alice said: eat food, and smoke.
Yeah, well, and just it's our responsibility moving forward to give people something that is not doom and gloom that they can do to change the world in a positive way. Because with the way that the election's going and the way that the government's going, I like to try and say that I'm almost unpartisan because I think they're both doing some really negative things right now. And it's time to move past that and come back to what our goals as a country are, as far as let's just start with getting people out of jail. We can all agree. Let's all agree on that and go from there.
Well, Kamala said during the debates that her and Biden would, guess what, end prohibition.
Which is
I just want to say, vote for change.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. Get the vote out. And all you young kids, jump on the HempFest wagon, and there'll be a job for you. We don't guarantee pay right now, but we guarantee the pay is just like my T-shirt that I made. I have a T-shirt here. I dropped it down on the floor here. Let's get it. Here it is. Here's my T-shirt. Here it says, "Pray it forward." So come on into HempFest, everybody, and let's pray it forward. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Hemp-Hemp-Hooray. And again, where can they find you, Vivian? Where can they find HempFest?
Hempfest.org and hempfestonline.org, or our Facebook or Twitter, all of that stuff, all the above.
And when will there be some rewinds, some archives for people to see? How soon will we be able to get those out?
I'm hopeful that at the latest we can at least get some raw stuff up by the end of the week. At the very latest.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Because I've been sleeping the last 2 days. Yeah, they're gonna be hiding in Patreon, I think. We'll put a couple clips up on the main Facebook too.
Okay, and you're welcome to share the show that we just had with your group. I have it recorded, and it's on our StreamYard. And thank you, IBM.TV. Nugent, roll us out, and thank you so much, beautiful people. Hemp-Hemp-Hooray, as Jack would say. And I can't wait to our next engagement. And freaking amazing show. You guys did great.
Thank you, Jeff. Love you, man.
Okay. All right, Nugent. Let's roll us out. Welcome to Weed Wednesdays, produced by International Broadcast Media, better known as IBM.TV. I'm your host, Jeff Eichen, human rights advocate and social activist, fighting for government deregulation of weed and the release of all non-violent criminals incarcerated for possession of marijuana, moving violations, parking tickets, IRS debt, etc. Here on Weedsday, we keep the public informed about all things weed related, including festivals and legislation surrounding regulating the growth of hemp. Today,